So in this the month of we had one central theme. What is that? Shri Bhagavan Vach Vivasvate Yogam Proktavanaham Avyayam Vivasvan Manave Praha Manurishvakave Bravit. So here the word Yogam. So we had this word called Yogam, which means that the science of one's relationship to the Supreme. So how do we reconnect with the Supreme Lord? So that was a theme for this Karthik month. And in that process, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has recommended five most important limbs which can re-establish our connection with the Supreme. In Chaitanya Charitamrita, this verse comes, Ak- Akala sadhana sreshta e pancha anga Krishna prema janmiya e panchera alpa sangha. These five limbs of devotional service are the best of all. Even a slight performance of these five awakens love for Krishna. So, this is the most important anga of devotional service. Uh, and talked about five most important limbs, like sadhu, just a minute association of a devotee give the highest perfection in life. The beautiful example is of Narada Muni, how just by associating with Bhakti Vedantist, the transcendentalist who came to his house, he was a son of a maid servant. How he transformed from material body to the spiritual body, just by associating with devotees, is very nicely. That's the power of association. And then we talked about Nama Kirtana, uh, the chanting of the holy name. It is recommended like Kaler Doshen Ide Radan, Ide Rajan, Hasti Eko Mahat Guna, Kirtanad Eva Krishnasya Prajet. This Kalyuga is full of faults, hypocrisy. But one beautiful quality of this age is that just by doing this Harinam, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, we can achieve highest perfection. So we talked about that. And then comes Bhagavad Shravana. Just by hearing this Bhagavata, we have knot in our heart. Like whatever material activity we do, there's a knot which is tied, which comes with the reaction. So this Bhagavata Shravana cuts that knots. Uh, just like Parishit Maharaj, just within 7 days of hearing Bhagavatam, he got highest perfection. He achieved liberation. And then we heard about Mathuravas, just by residing in the Dham, the place where Lord performed various pastimes. In fact, the Dham is a place where our bhakti is enhanced thousands of times. Like if you do japa in Vrindavan or some holy places, here we do one time Hare Krishna mantra. There, if you do Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So it magnifies or it is increased to 1,000 times. So that's the power of Holy Dham. We don't go Holy Dham for some sightseeing or some that purpose, but we go there for associating with sadhus or saintly persons who resides in the Holy Dham. So today we're going to talk about Sri Murtaya Shraddhaya Sevana, about deity worship, the importance of deity worship. Before I go there to understand what is deity worship, let us understand from the pages of Bhagavad Gita what it talks about. In fact, our philosophy circulates around personalism, not impersonal. The Lord has a form. Uh, the Lord has a beautiful two-handed form. And all the Vaishnava Sampradaya, like Sri Sampradaya, Rudra Sampradaya, Kumar Sampradaya, and Madhva Sampradaya, all this Vaishnava Sampradaya, the important theme they follow is the personalism. They don't go like there's a unmanifested form we have to worship. No, that form they don't appreciate. In fact, the theme is like it circulates around, just like this earthly planet has a satellite, natural satellite. What is that? moon. Yeah. So it circulates around the earth. Like it takes 27 days to circulate all around the earth. The same way, our philosophy also circulates around personalism, the form of the Lord, who has a transcendental, beautiful form, which is Sachidananda Vigraha, full of bliss, knowledge, and it pleasure. So, so in Bhagavad Gita, 10th chapter, chapter name is Opulence of the Absolute. So Krishna is bringing the point. Each and every chapter, Krishna is forcing Arjuna, fight, fight, fight. He's indirectly saying, do your duty. In fact, directly also he has told many times, oh Krishna, Arjuna, perform your duty. Since Arjuna was a Kshatriya, his duty was to fight. So Krishna is enforcing every chapter, fight, fight, or even there are lots of verse about Krishna encouraging Arjuna to fight. But Arjuna is always reluctant. He is giving different doubts. He has many doubts. How do I understand this? In the third chapter, he says like, one side you're saying, telling me to fight, other side you're telling me to renounce this. So I'm just confused. So Arjuna is posing many questions, and it's good. So Arjuna comes to a point in the 10th chapter when Krishna speaks about Chatusloki Bhagavad Gita, Aham Sarvasya Prabho. So then Arjuna understands the position of Lord Krishna. So then he says Param Dhama, means there's a beautiful verse which glorifies Krishna. Uh, and in that verse, there's a one verse comes like Katam Vidyam Aham Yogim Tvam Sada Parichintayan Keshu Keshu Cha Bhaveshu Chintayosi Bhagavan Maya. So Arjuna understood Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead in the previous verses. Earlier he was asking many questions, not knowing the actual position of Lord Krishna, but he understood the position of Krishna, that Krishna is provided everywhere, is transcendental and all. So here, when once he understood about Krishna, he is asking further more questions. How should I meditate on you? In what various forms are you to be contemplated, O blessed Lord? So he's asking, in what form I should meditate on you? Or I should meditate on your personal form or like impersonal form. So his question is very direct. So Prabhupada very nicely answers in this purport. As it is stated in the previous chapter, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is covered by his Yoga Maya. Only surrendered soul and devotees can see him. Now Arjuna is convinced that his friend Krishna is the supreme Godhead. But he wants to know the general process by which the all-pervading Lord can be understood by the common man. No common man, including the demons and atheists, can know Krishna because he is guarded by his Yogamaya energy. To understand Krishna, we have to be under the shelter of internal potency. It's called Yogamaya. We are all under the influence of Mahamaya, external energy. So that's the difference. Being in the influence of external energy, we don't know about the transcendental nature of the Supreme Lord. We don't know why we are here and what is our purpose of life. We're just living. It's just like a flow. This water flows. We are like in that flowing water. There's some twigs, plants, leaves, and all. They are flowing. The same way we are also flowing in that flow. We don't know where is our destination, where we're going to go after death, or we don't know anything. So to know about that, we should be under the influence of internal energy, or the Yoga Maya. Again, this question are asked by Arjuna for their benefit. The superior devotee is not only concerned for his own understanding, but for the understanding of all mankind. Out of his mercy, because he is a Vaishnava, so Arjuna is a great devotee, and he wants that information to be broadcasted or spread to everyone. Arjuna is opening the understanding for the common man as far as the all-pervasive of the Supreme is concerned. He addressed Krishna specifically as Yogin because Sri Krishna is the master of Yoga Maya energy by which he is covered. and to and uncovered to the common man. The common man who have no love for Krishna cannot always think of Krishna. Therefore, he has to think materially. Arjuna is considering the mode of thinking of the materialistic person of this world, because materialistic cannot understand Krishna spiritually. They are advised to concentrate the mind and physical thing and try to see how Krishna is manifest by physical representation. So Prabhupada is very nicely explaining that the archa form, the form of the deity, is how we can understand, like physical form. So next verse, this is important. Arjuna vacha mat anugrahaya paramam guhyam adhyatma samnitam yat tvayoktam vachastena mohoyam vigato mama. So this is a point where Arjuna comes to an understanding that his illusion is gone, and whatever Krishna says, he will follow. Earlier, he was reluctant. He was giving many reasons like I'll not fight, why I should fight. He's asking many doubts, questions. But now you can just see Arjuna said, I have heard your instruction on confidential spiritual matter, which you have so kindly delivered unto me, and my illusion is now dispelled. So now Arjuna's illusion is gone. So here Prabhupada very nicely explains. This chapter reveals Krishna as the cause of all cause. He is even the cause of Mahavishnu. For him, the material universe emanates. Krishna is not an incarnation. He is the source of all incarnation. That has been completely explained in the last chapter. So this is one important aspect here. Now, as far as Arjuna is concerned, he says that his illusion is over. This means that Arjuna no longer think of Krishna as a mere human being, as a friend but as a source of everything. Arjuna is very enlightened and is glad that he has a great friend like Krishna. But now he is thinking that although he may accept Krishna as the source of everything, others may not. So, in order to establish Krishna's divinity for all, he is requesting Krishna in this chapter to show his universal form. Actually, when one sees the universal form of Krishna, one becomes frightened like Arjuna. But Krishna is so kind that after showing it, he converts himself again to his original form. Arjuna agrees to what Krishna says several times. Krishna is speaking to him just for his benefit, and Arjuna acknowledges that this is happening to Arjuna acknowledges that all this is happening to him by Krishna's grace. He is now convinced that Krishna is the cause of all causes, and, and is present in everyone's heart as the super soul. So further, it uh, brings this point very nicely. If I think that I am able to behold your cosmic form, O Lord, O Master of all mystic power, then kindly show me that universal form. So now Arjuna is requesting Krishna to show his universal form. So I think so because of time, I'll just skip few things. But here there's one important word. It is said that one can neither see, hear, understand, nor perceive the Supreme Lord, Krishna, by material senses. Through our blunt senses, we cannot understand the form of the Lord. We cannot hear or understand what is the form of the Lord and all. But if one is engaged in loving, transcendental loving to see or to understand the Supreme Lord, Arjuna as a devotee does not depend on his speculative strength. Rather, he admits his limitation as a living entity and acknowledges Krishna's inestimable position. Arjuna could understand that for a living entity it is not possible to understand the unlimited infinite. Here is the important verse. Like, if the infinite reveals himself, then it is possible to understand the nature of infinite by the grace of the infinite. The word Yogeshwara is also very significant here because the Lord has inconceivable power. If He likes, He can reveal Himself by His grace. Although He is unlimited, therefore Arjuna pleads for the inconceivable grace of Krishna. He does not give he does not he does not give Krishna order. Krishna is not obliged to reveal himself to anyone unless one surrenders fully in Krishna consciousness and engages in devotional service. Thus, it is not possible for a person to depend on the strength of their mental speculation to see Krishna. So he's not ordering Krishna, he's just requesting, oh Lord, just show me your universal form so that I can understand. In fact, he says that in further Prabhupada explains that he wanted to show to others also that if you want to see Krishna, means if you want to have firm faith in Krishna, uh, many pretenders may say, I am also Krishna, I also know Bhagavad Gita and all. Then you can ask him, show me your universal form. So Arjuna is requesting that, show me your universal form, which has. So then Lord shows his universal form. There are like unlimited heads. There is fire emanating from that. O Lord of the universe, I see your universal body, many, many forms, bellies, mouth, eyes, expanded without limit. There's no end, there's no beginning, there's no middle to all this. So Lord shows him universal form. And then next, so once Arjuna sees the universal form, and then his mind is disturbed because that universal form has many, it's like a ghastly pictures where his grandfather, great grandfather Bhishma is entering the mouth of Krishna, and Krishna is saying that I'm like a time factor which is going to destroy everyone. So Krishna is very happy that Arjuna understood that position of Krishna, and he agreed that I'll follow whatever my illusion is gone, and I'll follow whatever the instructions. So Krishna is very happy, and he's showing this universal form, and in that form, there's a ghastly form, and Arjuna is disturbed. And further, it comes when Arjuna saw when Arjuna thus saw Krishna in his original form. Then Arjuna, because he got returned, and Arjuna requests the Lord that, "Oh Lord, please transform yourself to your original form." Like when Arjuna thus saw Krishna in his original form, he said, "Seeing this human-like form, so very beautiful, my mind is now pacified. I'm restored to my original nature." So Arjuna saw three forms. One is universal form, like a ghastly form. The second one was he saw 400 Narayana form. So, and the last, he requested Lord that come back to your original state. So that was the uh, two-handed form, Somya Rupam. In fact, this is the most important one. In fact, the Lord has the Somya form, the two-handed form. That is the original form of the Lord. So here it confirms. In fact, Lord confirms this. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Su Durdarshanam Idam Rupam Drishtavan Asi Yan Mama Deva Api Asya Rupasya Nitya Darshana Kanshana. The blessed Lord said, "My dear Arjuna, the form which you are now seeing is very difficult to behold. Even the demigods are ever seeking the opportunity to see this form which is so dear." In the 48th verse of this chapter, Lord Krishna concluded, revealing his universal form, and informed Arjuna that this form is not possible to be seen by so many activities, sacrifice, etc. Now, here the word Sudurdarshanam is used, indicating that Krishna's two-handed form is still more confidential. This two-handed form is most confidential. One may be able to see the universal form of Krishna by adding a little tinge of devotional service to various activities like penances, Vedic study, and philosophical speculation, etc. It may be possible, but without a tinge of bhakti, one cannot see that all has already been explained. So, without bhakti, the devotional service, this 200 form is very difficult to perceive, difficult to see. In fact, when Krishna was there in Krishna was there in Mathura and Dwarika, many demons they did not understand. Many atheist people they did not understand the 200 forms of Krishna. They were just blaspheming Krishna. In fact, it's Jarasandha was worshipping 400 form of Narayana, but he would not recognize Krishna, 200 form of Krishna. It may be possible, but without a tinge of bhakti, one cannot see. that has already been explained. Still, beyond the universal form, the form of Krishna as a 200 man is still more difficult to see, even for a demigod like Brahma or Lord Shiva. They desire to see him, and we have evidence in the Srimad Bhagavatam that when he was supposed to be in the womb of his mother Devaki, all the demigods from heaven came to see the marvel of Krishna. They even waited to see him. A foolish person may deride him, but that is an ordinary person. Krishna is actually desired to be seen by demigods like Brahma, Shiva in his 200 form. So, how do we understand this? So, Prabhupada very nicely explains this. To, to hear about Krishna from authorities, we can understand only by hearing from authorities. That is the actual Vedic version, Vedic process. And those who are actually in the Vedic line hear about Krishna from authority. And by repeated hearing about him, Krishna becomes dear. As we have several times discussed, Krishna is covered by Yogamaya potency. He is not to be seen or revealed to anyone and everyone. Only by one to whom he reveals himself can be seen. This is confirmed in the Vedic literature. For one who is surrendered soul, the absolute truth can actually be understood. The transcendentalist, by continuous Krishna consciousness, by devotional service to Krishna, can have his spiritual eye opened and can see Krishna by revelation. Such revelation is not possible even for the demigods. Therefore, it is difficult even for the demigod to understand Krishna. The advanced devotees, the advanced demigods, are always in hope of seeing Krishna in his 200 form. The conclusion is that although to see the universal form of Krishna is very, very difficult and not possible for anyone and everyone, still, it is still more difficult to understand his personal form as Shama Sundara. And Krishna explains about bhakti at the last of this chapter. And then 12th chapter, Arjuna, uh, he heard about all this process and all. And Arjuna had a question. Uh, First was he saw universal form. Then he saw the 400 Narayana form. And at last he saw 200 form, the original form. So now he had a question. What is that? Arjuna inquired. So, what is considered to be more perfect? Those who are properly engaged in your devotional service, or those who worship the impersonal Brahman, the unmanifested? So, he's directly asking, what is the best form of worship? Either I should worship the Lord as Archa Vigraha or some unmanifested form, or, or as like Paramatma who is there as 400 form. So, Lord answers this question. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Maya Veshya Mano Yemam Nitya Yukta Upasate Shraddaya Parayopetas Teme Yukta Tamo Mataha. So Lord is giving the opinion. The blessed Lord said, he whose mind is fixed on my personal form, always engaged in worshipping me with great and transcendental faith, is considered by me to be the most perfect. So Lord is answering that engaged in worshipping me with great and transcendental faith is considered by me to be the most perfect. In answer to Arjuna's question, Krishna clearly says that he who concentrates upon his personal form, who worships him with faith and devotion, is considered most perfect in yoga. For one in such Krishna consciousness, there are no material activities because everything is done by Krishna. A pure devotee is constantly engaged. Sometimes he chants, sometimes he hears or reads books about Krishna, or sometimes he cooks prasadam or goes to the marketplace to purchase something for Krishna, or sometimes he washes the temple or dishes. Whatever he does, he does not let a single moment pass without devoting his activities to Krishna. Such action is in full samadhi. So these are activities of trance. Somebody is whopping the temple, somebody is doing aarti, somebody is bringing some stuff for Krishna, like some fruits, flowers. So all those activities are like liberated activities. They are under stage of liberation. It's like a liberated person who is doing activities. So this all comes under that category. And if somebody does with devoted heart and devotion, he can reach the stage of samadhi. In fact, impersonalists they think that achieving samadhi is the highest perfection, but the devotees they can just within a fraction of time they can achieve that just by engaging their senses in the service of the Lord. Further, Krishna says, but for those who fully worship the unmanifested, which lies beyond the perception of the senses, the all pervading, inconceivable, fixed, immovable, the impersonal conception of the absolute truth, by controlling various senses and being equally disposed to everyone, such persons engaged in the welfare of all at last achieves me. The Lord is now explaining about the impersonal process. It's very troublesome. You have to fix your mind on something void. You have to control your senses. So it's very tough in this age of Kali Yuga. At last, and then at last they achieve. And further, here it's one more. Klesho adhikaras tesham avyakta sakta chetasam avyakta hi gatir dukkham dehavadmir avapyate. For those whose minds are attached to the unmanifested impersonal feature of the Supreme, advancement is very troublesome. To make progress in that discipline is always difficult for those who are embodied. So here, I think so. Here, Prabhupada explains about uh, it's a process is very troublesome. Krishna is saying that for those whose mind are attached to the unmanifested impersonal feature of the Supreme, advancement is very troublesome. To make progress in that discipline is always difficult for those who are embodied. So here the word embodied very nicely Prabhupada explains. It is very difficult for him to simply theoretically understand that he is not the body. We are in the bodily concept of life. Always we are just if you go miss we want to we are object oriented. Usually we are object oriented in the sense we are materially we always see material things. uh, it is very difficult it is very difficult for him to simply theoretically understand that it is that he is not the body. Therefore, the bhakti yoga accepts the deity of Krishna as a worshipable because there is some bodily conception fixed in the mind which can thus be applied. Of course, worship of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in his form within the temple is not idol worship. This is not idol worship. There is evidence in the Vedic literature that worship may be suguna or nirguna of the supreme processing or not possessing activities, attributes. Worship of the deity in the temple is suguna worship, for the Lord is represented by material qualities. But for the form of the Lord, though represented by material qualities such as stone, wood, or oil paint, is not actually material. That is the absolute nature of the Supreme Lord. A crude example, like we heard yesterday, the crude example of a mailbox. That this Archa Vigraha is representing the Supreme Lord. Just like in India, you see a big red color box, mailbox. Here you don't find that. So if you put some mail in that, with some sticker, it will go to his destination. If same envelope with sticker, if you put in any ordinary box, like which is lying at home or somewhere or in your community, it will not go to his destination. So that's the example which Prabhupada gives many times to explain the archa, the form of the Lord in the temple. We find some mailbox on the street, and if we post our letter in those box, they will naturally go to their destination without difficulty. But any old or imitation which may find somewhere which is not authorized by the post office will not do the work. Similarly, God has an authorized representation in the deity form, which is called Archa Vigraha. So this form of the Lord is called Archa Vigraha. This Archa Vigraha is an incarnation of the Supreme Lord. God will accept service through that form. The Lord is omnipotent and all powerful. Therefore, by his incarnation as Archa Vigraha, he can accept the service of the devotee just to make it convenient for the men in conditioned life. So, this Archa Vigraha is representing that Supreme Lord who is there in the Goloka Krishna. So, whatever we offer, that is directly accepted by the Lord. In Srimad Bhagavatam, uh, there's a nice verse like Dhruva Maharaj. Initially, he did 6 months of, means he did for 6 months a continuous tapasya because he got offended by his stepmother. She did not allow him to sit on the lap of his father, Uttanapada. So, being a Kshatriya, he was very means he became very agitated, and he requested. He was in a crying mood. He went to his mother, and her mother requested him that I cannot do anything. You have to pray to that supreme lord who resides in the forest. So he goes to the forest and he does tapasya, and he gains the kingdom which is bigger than his father. But at his last stage, when he ruled his kingdom and he was on the last stage, like at the stage of his passing away. So he leaves his kingdom and he goes to forest. So there what he does, in Badrikashrama, Dhruv Maharaj's senses became completely purified because he bathed regularly in the crystal clear purified water. So he went to Badrikashrama, he went to Badrinath, that place where in India. And there's a beautiful lake which has crystal clear water. And he used to bathe there 3 times. And he fixed his sitting position and by yogic practice controlled the breathing process and the air of life. In this way, his senses were completely withdrawn. And once he concentrated, he did yoga like we do pranayama and all. So he did all yogic postures and asanas and all. And then what he did? Then he concentrated his mind on the Archa Vigraha form of the Lord, which is the exact replica of the Lord, and thus meditating upon him, he entered into complete trance. So then he meditated on the Archa Vigraha. I think so he had installed some deities there, and he was doing worship. He was offering flowers, fruits, and he was meditating. Here is a description of Astanga Yoga system to which Dhruva Maharaj was already accustomed. Astanga Yoga was never meant to be practiced in fashionable cities. Dhruva Maharaj went to Badrikashrama in a solitary place alone. He practiced on the Archa Vigraha, the worshipable deity of the Lord, which exactly represents the Supreme Lord. Thus, thinking constantly of that deity, he became absorbed in trance. Worship of the Archa Vigraha is not idol worship. The form of what we are worshipping, rather Damodara, is not idol worship. The Archa Vigraha is an incarnation of the Lord in a form appreciable by a devotee. Therefore, devotees engage in the temple in the service of the Lord as Archa Vigraha, a form made of material objects such as stone, metal, wood, jewel, or paint. All these are called stula or physical representation. Since the devotees follow regulative principles of worship, although the Lord is there in his physical form, he is not different from his original spiritual form. Thus, the devotees get the benefit of achieving the ultimate goal of life. That is to say, becoming always absorbed in the thought of the Lord. This incessant thought of Lord, as described in the Bhagavad Gita, makes one the topmost yogi. So the Archa Vigraha of the Lord, in fact, this material substance, we call it as, in fact, when before installation, these deities are purified by mantras, by rituals. There are adivasas and all. And then the Lord is invited. So this Archa Vigraha is not ordinary material form. It's a Lord Himself, and it's a great opportunity for all of us uh, to serve the Lord in whatever capacity we have. Like it's a instance opportunity in this age. Somebody can be engaged in worshipping deity by cleansing the temple. Somebody can be engaged in worshipping by cooking for the Lord. Someone can make nice, beautiful garland, and someone can go out, preach about the Lord. So these all are transcendental activities, and which brings immense result. A jiva is liberated. Usually, our material, we are fully. Our conception is about not about the Supreme Lord. We are always conscious of the material things. That's what we have developed from our age, means from childhood or from the day one which we have come to this material world. We are always object, like we are materially oriented. We are always like s- means what we see we believe. We don't understand the transcendental form of the Lord, the Archa Vigraha form of the Lord. Especially in this age, the best process is by chanting. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. It is said it's called Vidyavadu Jivanam. Vidyavadu Jivanam means uh, whatever knowledge is required is easily acquired, or we can get that just by chanting this holy name. So we'll just repeat 3 times and then we'll stop this. Uh, so I request all of you to repeat after me. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So today I'll stop for today. Thank you for all of you for attending this beautiful session of Karthik